Well, this is Jared with Stampede Blue. This is your Indianapolis Colts post-game wrap, and the Colts lost today on the road to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The final score is 38-35 in a game that had absolutely everything except for high-caliber quarterback play out of the Indianapolis Colts. Jameis Winston was 33 for 45 for 456 yards and had 4 touchdowns. And it probably would have been worse if Mike Evans hadn't gotten hurt. He did have 3 interceptions, 2 by Darius Leonard. 1 of those returned for a touchdown. And the Colts did win the turnover battle, did score points off turnovers, and we're winning this game 35-21 with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. I could talk endlessly about what went wrong, though, and to continue my trend, injuries played a huge factor today. The Colts were only able to generate 1 sack, did generate some pressure on Jameis Winston, but without Kenny Moore, there was no nuance to their defensive pressure, and that causes issues when you have a young secondary playing against one of the elite passing attacks in the NFL, and that's on Bruce Arians and Jameis. That's a great offensive system. The Colts were unable to run the damn ball with Marlon Mack returning. I kind of found it just weird altogether that after back-to-back 100-yard games, Jonathan Williams doesn't really get the ball last week, and then this week didn't really get to tote the rock. It's guys like Wilkins and Hines that are doing it, and something probably happened there. But the Colts needed to win out, have the Texans and Steelers go 2-2 or worse, and have the Titans lose, and Oakland has to lose. So I believe the Colts are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. And it is a get better. The Colts have to travel and play the Saints on Monday night. I don't think they win that game either. Then they're 6-8, and just to predict the future, I think the Colts could stand to substantially upgrade their problem areas: quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback, interior defensive line, interior offensive line, with a top 10 pick. And last year, half of the teams that went 6-10 picked inside the top 10. So, spoiler alert, I would never advocate for tanking or losing intentionally. I think the Colts are going to do that just fine on their own. But 8-8, you're picking in like the middle of the first round, and I just think 6-10 and picking inside the top 10 potentially is a lot more desirable. So, coming from someone who's been standing for Jacoby this entire season, after watching him go 19 for 36 for 252 yards against the 31st ranked pass defense in the NFL today, I think he's too safe a bet. It's almost like taking a known 50-50 when the idea is to put on the field something better than a 50-50 proposition. And I get it. Normally I'd be saying, man, no Kenny Moore, just getting Marlon and Paris back was going to hinder our offensive production. Marcus Johnson and Zach Pascal played great football today. I do want to note, though, Jack Doyle signed a 3-year extension, catches 2 balls on 6 targets, and really wasn't a big part of the offense. So we've got problems. We're losing. We start off X-2, and then all of a sudden we're 2-4, and this back half of the schedule is giving us fits. Like I said, it doesn't get a lot better. The Saints are definitely a better football team than the Bucs. So we'll kind of see what happens. Of course, I'd love to see the Colts win out. Anytime you win, you're better than 8-8. That's a good look. It's certainly, to me anyway, always a good reminder that we can always get better, and that may be with different players. So the Colts are certainly a very young team, and definitely looking up, right? I think it's pretty fair to say this was going to be an uphill season without Andrew Luck. It's pretty fair to say that, right? And we try to make the most of it, and we started off hot, but then the injuries caught up to us, and teams started to figure us out. And I think that's going to hurt us as long as we're unable to cover receivers and tight ends without key players, right? Like a guy like Kenny Moore made O.J. Howard look like a god. And I am a Chris Godwin fan because I drafted him in a lot of fantasy leagues. But apparently the Colts didn't game plan for that either, right? So not only did Mike Evans torch us for a 61-yard touchdown and immediately get hurt, the game would have been a lot worse if he hadn't. So not a fun loss today. Certainly did not have a good time. Although, how lucky are we to have Darius Leonard? The guy is just calling him the Maniac is perfect. He is absolutely outstanding. Double-digit tackles, 2 interceptions, hits on the quarterback. The dude's everywhere. But we can always get better. The Colts are gonna get better. I have faith in Frank Reich and Chris Ballard to do the right things. And I'm not even saying like Jacoby shouldn't be starting for the Colts. I'm just saying that you should always look to upgrade now, right? So I'm kind of leaning in a different direction now. I'm no longer standing for Jacoby. I'm saying there are areas to improve. 19 for 36 against a 31st ranked pass defense is unacceptable. Pretty much on every front. Andrew Luck retiring was an onus that protecting your quarterback is paramount, and his play is going to dictate whether or not you do anything. I think the Colts need to model their organization after teams like the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Seahawks. Athletic, nimble quarterbacks that are able to make plays on their feet, that are comfortable throwing on the run, that don't have a problem throwing hucking the ball downfield and making weird throws. You got to have that kind of stuff because injuries are going to happen, right? And we can hide behind this run the damn ball thing, but then Marlon Mack goes down and Jonathan Williams gets, even though he played really well, all of a sudden he's a non-factor on offense. It really just kind of makes you wonder. And again, no one's ever 100%. Everybody's banged up. And I get that. Every team has injuries. And like I said, I've been kind of holding the line, saying, give the guy time, give Jacoby some time. But I think at this point it's pretty fair to say that regardless how you start, they look at the whole picture, and in the long term, unless Jacoby was to lose 15 pounds and get a half a second faster and significantly improve his pre-snap read ability, his ability to manipulate the defense with his eyes, his ability to throw the ball downfield with anticipation, throw his receivers open, regardless of who's out there, those things have to happen. And by and large, they did not. This has been Jared with Stampede Blue. This has been your Indianapolis Colts post-game wrap, and we'll see you after Monday Night Football on the road against the Saints. And like I said, I don't have a problem with 6-10 and picking inside the top 10 with this class of quarterbacks. Do you? Go Colts.